Hey everybody, it's the R&B Show. And now, here are those two that are almost as funny as a Carrie Brecky tweet.
It's Kari Brecky.
Oh, Kari Brecky.
Yeah, good. I like the line.
Wait.
You forgot.
It's Kari Brecky. And here's Ricardo and Brett. But can you dig it?
We gotta start over. Everything is disjointed right now.
It's crazy, yeah. This whole morning has been...
The whole thing was mixed up.
Do you find it ironic that I corrected Rosie on a name pronunciation when I'm the one who's usually...
You're the one who's usually pretty bad at names.
I'm very bad at pronouncing names.
See, you're bad at pronouncing them. And ask Brett, I'm terrible at remembering them.
He is awful at remembering names. If it wasn't for me, what would you do? You would forget every name that every person you've ever met.
Every person would just be called, hey, how's it going?
Do you find that you have to look at your own license? Like, oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it's me. See?
I can't tell you how many times Rosie's like, what's his name again? It's like, yeah, I got it.
I'm just going to let you do the talking.
Usually I'm not real good at names either. I'm great at remembering faces, though.
Okay.
I can remember faces. But yeah, if you don't know who it is, you just go, hey. What's going on? Hey, how you doing?
Hey, buddy.
That's what I do.
Or if somebody's talking to you and you can't quite hear them, you just kind of smile and nod. And just one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We know this, though. Welcome to the R&B Show, episode number 20, the only podcast dedicated to high school sports in the Fox Valley. I'm your co-host, Ricardo Arguello. Sitting alongside me is Brett Christopherson. We're both with USA Today Network Wisconsin. Also, don't forget about Jim Rosendick. That's the guy you heard at the beginning, our McLovin, who's engineering and producing everything here for us on the only podcast, again, dedicated to high school sports in the Fox Valley. We got a big show, Brett. We have some interesting topics to talk about, specifically involving basketball. We're going to first start with a little bit about the rankings and that stuff in our area teams and how they're performing, some big games. We're then going to go to the urban-rural hoops discussion, and you and I both have some specific thoughts, and perhaps, in my case at least, I know for sure, maybe not so popular thoughts.
Yeah, you're a little fired up about it.
Yeah, a little fired
morning,
up about
it.
We're going to get to that in a little bit. And then we're going to, it's basically all hoops this podcast because January week is in full and it's in effect, baby. And this Wednesday we have a roundtable featuring Seymour girls. More about that in a little bit. And then you're going to give the lowdown on what's happening on Saturday because that's a big day for us, a big day for Xavier, for Kaukauna, and for Spash as well. They're welcoming those big the teams from Minnesota. The border battle.
We're going to need lots of water because there'll be lots of talking going on.
That's right. So,
and we tipped off January week last night.
That's right, with Appleton North, Appleton West girls. We'll talk about that as well. So let's get started, huh? And let's talk about that. I guess let's first start with Appleton North, Appleton West girls. Appleton North with the win over Appleton West. It took 13 three-pointers.
Ooh,
they really had to shoot well, which
Deadeye from distance.
Exactly, which was the exact opposite of what happened against Appleton East in Appleton North's first loss in a couple of years, I guess, in the conference. So it's good to see them come back and to come out on fire and not just do it with Levy. It was a couple of the other girls kind of stepping forward. I know Anna Loggs had a nice game, 5 3-pointers.
17, 5 threes.
So your impression of Appleton North, Brett?
My impression, first of all, we need to start by saying congratulations to Appleton North senior Sydney Levy, who last night set the new career scoring mark at Appleton North High School, breaking Emily Johnson's record. Of course, Emily Johnson went on to play at UW Green Bay, graduated in the early 2000s, so congratulations to Sydney. She had 23 points last night. The funny thing about that was they stopped the game quickly. Joe Russum gives her a commemorative basketball, and no sooner than that ball was in her hands, she firing it right back at her coach. She wanted nothing to do with it. Yeah. She wanted to get back to playing basketball, so keeping it on the team, but still an accomplishment nonetheless. So congratulations to Sydney. Going to UW Milwaukee, you're
That's right.
alma mater.
I can't wait to follow her during her collegiate career, obviously a Panther alum. But, Jay, what did you think of Appleton North? And we'll talk about Appleton West, too, because there's some interesting, when you look at their roster, we'll mention that in a little bit.
Shooting was key last night. Obviously, 13 threes, 10 in the first half. They were on fire. Just as impressive to me was how they iced the game or fended off Appleton West at the free throw line. Right. 23 of 24 from the free throw line. I was in heaven watching that.
I know.
Because I am a huge lover of the free throw. That's 23 free points they scored from the line. Nobody guarding you, 15 feet. It's an easy shot. You knock them down, right? And how many times have we seen over the years teams that struggle from the line? You put the game away just by knocking down your free throws. Now, 23 of 24 is exceptional. I mean, obviously, but I'd like to see a team shooting the 80% range. I don't think that's a big deal. So I was very impressed with how they just stepped to the line, kept knocking down shots, and really withstood a pretty good charge by Appleton West. I would imagine Joe Russum, the coach at North, would say we got to shore up things defensively. Boy, Appleton West was bombing some shots as well.
Abby Fortune.
Oh, she was tremendous.
Christy Fortune. I'm sorry, Christy Fortune, I believe it was.
Yeah,
had a big game.
What did she have? 30 points. Christy Fortune, 11 of 15 shooting, 6 of 9 from threes. Pretty good for a sophomore. A young team from Appleton West, but good bounce back for the Lightning after losing to Appleton East on Friday, and maybe this will kind of. It's January, right? It's you start to hit those lulls a little bit. Maybe you have a hiccup. Best to do it now, and then start to kind of recharge and try to hit your stride as you hit tournament time coming up. That's not too far away. A couple weeks, seeding meetings will take place, and here we go. But I think Appleton North will, like you, make a deep run again. And I know you think they're still the team to beat in D1.
I still think they're the team to beat in D1 because I look at the field on the top of D1, and I don't see any team outside perhaps King that can knock them off when it comes to the post. I think they'll elevate their game. These girls are battle tested. They know what they got to do. They know what they got to do to win the prize. And in my opinion, Joe Russell will get them there. I did like how they came out and they forced turnovers right away. I think 6 of the first 7 possessions by Appleton West were turnovers. Now, some of those were mistakes by West,
yes.
Unforced turnovers. But I thought that they came out the proper way, especially when you're coming off a loss. And talking to Russell afterward, I think he was pleased with how his girls came out on fire, ready to go, and to get the big win. Now, for Appleton West, I love Appleton West in terms of what they have in the youth coming up, Brett. They have some amazing sophomores.
How about Taylor Lauterbach?
And
6'5".
We mentioned Fortune. She's a sophomore.
Yep.
6'5" Lauterbach. Now I can't wait. Now she's still a little bit of a project in that she can get more refined.
Well, and even bulk up a little.
And bulk up maybe a little bit more. But she's
young.
She already played a role in that game yesterday, Brett. You can't teach 6'5". As someone who's only 5'10". 5'11" on a good day. You can't teach 6'5", Brett.
Right.
And she has the height to really be a dominant force. She's only a sophomore. And I think talking with Coach Brown, he also admitted, we have something here with our younger players. We only have one senior on the roster.
Yeah.
All juniors, some
tough.
key sophomores. This team is going to be just killer come next season. And they're already starting to kind of turn it around. Coach Brown said, we took our lumps kind of early. We're now starting to kind of put things together. I think you saw that in their game, in their loss actually against North.
I got the stats here. Lauterbach, 8 points, 3 boards. Sydney Gale had a nice game, 9 points, 3 rebounds. We mentioned Christy Fortune with 30 points and 6 threes. Jamie Winstead came out and had 8 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. So that's doing some good stuff in a rugged league like the FVA. And what we mentioned on the stream last night, what I said with Lauterbach with 6'5", I was very impressed with her youth. How she kept the ball high.
Yeah, that's good.
That's tough to teach with these bigs
because
a lot of times they always have that tendency to want to bring it down.
Where little guards could just knock it out of the way,
She get the rebound and she keeps it high, and she did some good things. She's going to be a fun player to watch. This is going to be a fun team to watch.
It's going to be a fun league to watch because there's a lot of good sophomores and a lot of good bigs. Throughout the FVA and girls basketball.
Kimberly's got some.
Yeah, Kimberly's got Maddie Schreiber and
Hortonville.
Hortonville has McGlone. I mean, this is going to be fun to watch. I'm actually very much looking forward. I think the FVA is going to be very competitive in the next couple seasons, at least in terms of players in the paint. Brett, real quick over actually one more thing on the girls' side, and we'll talk about this more in a little bit. Seymour big win over Hortonville, so we'll talk about that later tonight as we have the Seymour girls in Haley Oski and Jenna Krause. And switching over to boys real quick, O'Connor, big win over Kimberly. So now it's them and Oshkosh North, Brett, atop the FVA. I was impressed. Were you impressed? Did you like what you saw from Kokona?
Absolutely. We talked about it last week, too. I think it's a team now that's hitting its stride, and they're really playing good basketball, really starting to gel together, and they're a dangerous team. They were already, but they seem even more dangerous, and it almost seems like a team that's on a mission. I think Jordan McCabe wants to go out on a high note and end what has been a spectacular career, a 2,000-point career. But you got obviously the sensational play of him at point guard, and you got Dylan Curry,
big game.
The best game I've seen him play in his career at Kokona High School. He had he was unstoppable.
25 points, 12
25
rebounds.
points. Inside outside game. He was stepping out, hitting threes or knocking down shots from distance, but also doing stuff inside as well. So I really liked I like the bench play. I like some of these young kids that are coming up for Mike Shallow. So they've got some depth there. And they're gonna be a tough out in that Division II field without a doubt.
Kimberly kind of has had a little bit of a tough stretch here. Now,
they're good.
I have faith in Lucky Wirtz. He's
So
going to get that team turned around. He just happened to play, Oshkosh North I'm sorry, he played. He had a loss against was it Oshkosh West, I believe,
yes.
Which we had talked about last week, and then obviously the tough loss to Kaukauna. They're going to be just fine, folks. Don't write off Kimberly just yet. They're going to be just fine come the postseason.
I fully expect that Kimberly will be playing Oshkosh North in the sectional championship over at Marshfield High School. Well, I won't put I'm not going to put my house on it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I'm feeling very good because I think this is one of the best teams Lucky's had at Kimberly. They've got the mix too. Alec Rosner.
Yeah.
Not
Big
enough
game.
has been said
How
about Alec.
underrated is that kid?
What did he have? Like 32.
32 points.
And really put on a show himself.
Yes, he did.
A fantastic player, a kid that can step out and hit threes. But a kid who does some stuff like the dribble drive along the baseline. He's got a quick first step and can create shots, create his own space off the bounce. And I really like their bigs as well. They got DeValk. You've got Tanner Johnson. You've got Levi Ninehouse-Borchert, who is a rebounding machine. You've got Maxwell Dorn, who does good things from the guard spot.
Don't forget about Little Buchanan.
Jake Buchanan, who's a spark plug. So he's got a lot of pieces, Lucky Words, to work with. And we're going to be streaming the game, the Kimberly at Oshkosh North game next Friday. That's February 2nd. We're going to be going down to Oshkosh North. I just got the okay from Craig Leader, the AD at Old North. Still working on that Kaukauna Oshkosh North game. I'm not sure if we can pull that one off down there, but that's going to be a big one as well because Kimberly's going to need a big bounce-back win, and it could be setting the stage for what could be round 3 in March if those two teams do advance to the sectional championship game.
Well, good stuff. I want to switch quickly over, though, to the urban-rural hoops discussion. A great piece done by Tom Dombeck, our friend over there, Sheboygan, Manitowoc area, on that urban-rural proposal, really centered around Division 4 and Division 5 hoops in the state. I have some very pointed comments on this, but real quick, the background. Basically, they're going to adjust in terms of moving up some of those private league school teams, and I think there was a list of the teams towards the bottom of the online version of the teams that are going to be in there, and some of the teams there. I'm going to go out on a limb and say here, Brett, some of them are. I don't know how good they are at basketball.
Well, let's just take a look at a school right by us, St. Mary Catholic, going D4 to D3.
Wow,
that's tough.
That is tough.
242 student enrollment. They're going to try to play teams like Freedom and Xavier, and Little Chute, Wrightstown around here. Good luck to the Zephyrs with that. That's a tough task.
Yeah, and
this whole thing is so complicated too.
It's not just so. It's not so complicated. It is complicated, but it is based on this. In my opinion, this underlying theme, our teams aren't winning enough. And that's what it comes down to. These rural schools, and they're not even, I don't even think technically they're in our area. I think they're from another part of the state. They're getting sick of watching Division 4, Division 5, and boys and girls basketball being won by urban schools. And that's what it comes down to. They're playing the victim here. To me, it's a little bit similar to what you kind of see where folks are real quick to play the victim. This is what these rural schools are doing. You can't win on the court. So you can't. You feel like your kids are doing the right way. These kids aren't doing it the right way. Let's go after them. Let's take those titles away from them, and let's just have our own titles. We'll do it, and we'll move the field goals, as it were, to use an analogy, until we get the amount of championships that we feel we should have. That's what this is all about. The urban kids, they're winning too much. We got to stop that. We got our country kids here. We got to win some more. That's what it's all about. And that to me, that is, I know this because I've seen it firsthand. That's how they feel. That's how they think. And to me, I don't think this is going to pass because I don't think there's enough of that movement, that swelling underneath, to get this to go over. I feel they put administrators, the parents, and some of the fans, perhaps the more vocal ones, they put the administrators in bad positions because they have to go to the WIAA as part of their job and discuss this. The WIAA then has to go and put out a proposal or whatnot. And then I thought it was a very telling comment by the head of the Board of Control, who's from Stratford, by the way, a very tiny school in rural Wisconsin up north, that, basically Tom asked him, well, how do you know when this has been successful? What are you going to use as evidence? And I thought it was a very telling comment. You have it here, Brett. What he had, it was something to the effect of, we don't know what it will be. Here it is.
Got it.
Oh, I thought I had it here. Basically, they're saying that there's no data. It's a numbers game, but there's no real data in how they're kind of doing this. And the Stratford, I want to believe it's an AD or an official who's now the Board of Control president, he's basically saying, well, we don't know if it's going to work, but how will you know? Well, it's just something, we'll see it. We'll see it when it happens. What does that mean? That's so cryptic. You know what I mean? Like, how do you know if it's, you know what I mean? Like, what's it going to determine? Is it when rural schools win a certain amount of titles in a row?
Yeah.
Then it's okay. I don't know. To me, I find it to be a little bit of playing the victim and trying to change things around the rules of the game so that it fits you best. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it. Especially when some of these schools are going to get hurt, as you mentioned. St. Mary Catholic is one of them.
Just an example of a nearby school, but this feels like such a knee-jerk reaction to what we've seen recently in Division IV with the dominance of Dominican winning, what was it, 5 straight titles?
Yes.
And then last year, I think Milwaukee Destiny won it in D4. Obviously, I think that's a bit of an anomaly. I mean, the amount of talent that the Dominican had, especially with Diamond Stone and then Antetokounmpo, Costas Antetokounmpo, Giannis's brother down there. I don't know. I don't like the plan. I don't think it's necessary. In fact, we talked about instead of having 5 divisions in basketball, let's go back down to
exactly.
4 divisions. There's too many divisions in all of these sports. We talked about football having 7 divisions. That's a flat-out joke. And so is having 5 divisions in basketball. You don't need that many divisions. Wisconsin isn't that big of a state where you have to have so many divisions and have so many state champions. The nuts and bolts here in the story, though, for those that are not quite clear of what this is, and I'm going to read what Tom wrote here. The WIAA used U.S. Census information to determine which schools would be moved up a division. That data divided schools into 4 categories: city, suburb, town, and rural. Schools in Divisions 4 and 5 with a classification of city or suburb would move up 1 division from their base enrollment, while those with town or rural status would stay the same. Now, there was a great comment here, and I think the Howards Grove Athletic Director, Dave Schmid. His school, I think, is a D4 school right now, but it is considered a suburban school because it's near Sheboygan.
Right.
Anybody who's been through Howards Grove, as I have, numerous occasions actually, it's a kind of a pretty drive through there when you go to Sheboygan. I think that's Highway 57, I want to say, but whatever. It's rural. All right, they're not like pinched against Sheboygan. Yeah, it's an easy drive to get to Sheboygan, but as he said, we're kind of look around here. There's farm fields, there's cornfields. So you're going to take a Howards Grove, and you're going to bump them up a division. Where he said, I'd rather play Dominican than go and have to play a team like Brown Deer.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And that takes me to the next part about this is the accusations constantly against the private schools.
That they recruit.
They do recruit.
Yes, they have to.
They have to because you have to pay tuition to go there.
Right.
So they do recruit students. When my kids were coming through middle school around here, there was a school, a private school here that sent literature saying, here's what our school has to offer, here's this, here's that. But remember this, Gene Strews, the longtime Fox Valley Lutheran athletic director, now retired, he said years ago when this topic came up, the biggest thing that we have, I guess, going against us as far as recruiting is, here's your price tag.
Yeah.
And that turns a lot of people away because tuition, it ain't cheap to try to send a kid to a private school. And don't tell me for a second, with the open enrollment that you now see at the public school level, that there is not recruiting going on as well. So there's recruiting going on everywhere. I think that's a bad argument.
And it happens at the 5th grade level.
I think a lot of people blur the line between recruiting and college and what they're seeing at the high school level. I think they're picturing, officials from whatever Catholic school or whatever private school you have going to a home and talking to the kid and trying to pull him in. Where it more often than not, I want to say it's probably most of the time actually is they're just getting literature in the mail.
Yeah.
That is their recruiting, or they'll have like booths set up somewhere or whatever, an open house or something like that. That's not, I mean, that's recruiting, yes, but that's not exactly the recruiting that you're thinking of at the collegiate level where coaches are going to students' houses and that stuff like that. That's not what their recruiting is. Come on, man.
No, they have to put out what their school offers because they are a private school,
right.
A religious school. My kids came up K through 8. They went to a private school in the community we lived in, a religious-based school. So of course we got literature from schools high schools saying, hey, this is what we got. Well, that's what they have to do. They have to try to enroll students. I mean, that's just the name of the game. So I'm not naive to not think that there aren't schools who recognize an athlete that are trying to get the pull, to try to pull them in. But don't tell me again for a second that there isn't the same thing going on at the public school level. That's not, especially with open enrollment.
Well, they got quotes from Mr. Adam Bates over there at St. Mary Catholic, doing a fine job over there as their athletics director. And it's this Winch that's who's from Stratford, and now the Board of Control president, I want to say, or who's the top guy. When asked, and I thought this was a very interesting paragraph here, Brett. When asked how the WIA would determine whether the rural-urban plan, if passed, was a success after 2 years, because it's supposed to be a 2-year kind of experimental thing, he said, "I don't know how you determine that. Sometimes you know something's a success when you see it." What kind of quote is that? You're the president of the Board of Control.
Not a whole lot of hard facts or data to back up the argument.
We'll just know. And again, that leads me back to my thing. Well, once we get it's almost like, let's just give everyone a participation trophy now. Let's just make 10 divisions and just have their own division for the little rural schools and let them win all the titles that they want, because this is basically what it comes down to. Life's not fair. Sports in many ways is a microcosm of life. It's not fair, Brett. You think it's these teams that are losing to Dominican, it's not fair, and it hurts. Your kids are working hard. These kids are just better than your kids. You have to face the fact. Do you think, let me give you an example here. Do you think Milwaukee, Riverside, Golda Meir likes coming up here to Kimberly and getting their butts whipped in football 76-0? It's not fair. Kimberly has the big facility. They have all the groundwork laid in. Have you ever been to Riverside? I have been, because it's down over by UW Milwaukee. It's the closest actual high school to UW Milwaukee besides Shorewood. They have nothing like that. They have nothing like what Kimberly has. Nothing like like many Division II, maybe even Division III teams have. Do you think that's fair in terms of socioeconomic? You can go a whole little different ways with this. Life is not fair. Okay, you're gonna lose. Okay, sometimes you can't go changing, goalposts all around just to make it best fit what you want to have for your team to have the most success. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that it's come to this point, and this is not going to pass. I'm very, very positive that this is not going to pass. I think people see it in that way. That first off, I don't think it solves this problem that I don't even know if it exists or not. But they also found that it's a flawed proposal as well.
Boy, you look at some of these schools. Winnebago Lutheran would go up to D3. Eau Claire Regis would go up to D3. Racine Lutheran. Kohler would go up to D3 based on this proposal. It's just I think there's too much overthinking going on, and like we said earlier, there's too many divisions, way too many divisions for a state of our size, and the recruiting thing is a joke in my. I don't want to hear about recruiting. Maybe the public schools would have an argument if there wasn't open enrollment,
right.
Like when we grew up. Like when I grew up in Stevens Point, you went to Spash. You didn't go to Amherst. You didn't go to Rosholt. You went to Spash because you lived in Stevens Point, unless you wanted to go to Pacelli.
Right.
Now, if I lived in Stevens Point, I could open enroll in Amherst, or I could open enroll in Rosholt, or I could drive up to Wausau. I could go to Wisconsin Rapids, whatever. So don't tell me that about the unfair benefits that these public or private schools have in recruiting, because it's going on all over the place.
And not just that, if these private schools are recruiting like they say at the level that they are, how come they're not getting any bigger? St. Mary Springs is still tiny, and they had trouble. I remember when I worked in Fond du Lac. Yeah, they had troubles just getting enough people to go to their school. And you think they're going to take time to go and recruit, football players for that specific reason? Come on, they're struggling just. And by the way, the St. Mary Springs, I remember this vividly. Going to their weight room. This is Coach Highland now. Their weight room was literally in hallways. Okay, that's the kind of lack of resources that they had, but they still got it done. You know what I mean? And that's my point. If you're a football player and you want to go to Fond du Lac or Springs, you go to Fond du Lac and you see the nice new schools that they have. Why are you going to go to Springs? You know what I mean? I don't buy into the fact. A lot of folks just want to use excuses to kind of cover the fact that your team isn't good enough and it's not winning state championship. Victimhood, you look for any reason to make yourself feel better, and an easy way to do it is to point at the urban schools and say, you're winning too much, you must be doing it the wrong way, while we're doing it the right way.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, and it was really, again, a good article by Tom Dombeck. Those watching, you can look at it at postcrescent.com. It is one of the top stories on our site right now, actually the top story along the side rail there. So click on it, read it, and form your own opinion, and we'll see what happens with it. But, yeah, I think it's unnecessary, and another WIA issue that seems to have ignited some passion.
I'm sure we're going to talk about this next week and in the following weeks as this kind of comes to a head, because I know the voting, like you said, takes place at the end of the month. So with that in mind, let's keep it on basketball. Switch a little bit over and get me not so hot and agitated here, Brett. January week.
You can't say that. Say it again.
January. January week.
January.
January.
It's no different than January. You just say January.
Yeah, January.
January. Did I say that right?
That was close.
January.
No.
You're going. Urary. How do you?
Me fail English? That's impossible. So anyway, that week that you just talked about.
That's right now.
Yeah, trio of games upcoming on Saturday because we had our first game actually yesterday, as we all know, Appleton West Appleton North girls basketball. 3 big ones on Saturday, Brett. What's up?
Yeah, that's the border battle, Wisconsin versus Minnesota, the Wisconsin Basketball Yearbook border battle. We're going to stream 3 games on Saturday. I don't think we've ever streamed 3 games in a day, Rose. We've done 2. You and I have done that the last 2 years where we do the sectional finals for the girls and then a regional final for the boys.
Yeah, which is fun. That's always a good time,
especially when we go up to Green Bay and we go to Gippers and have a burger and stuff afterwards.
Yep.
But whatever.
See, that's another good place too.
It always revolves around food. But
oh yes.
But Saturday we're going to be at Stevens Point Area Senior High. Get it right. There's no such thing as Stevens Point High School, by the way. Another pet peeve. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's right.
What exists is Stevens Point Area Senior High. Hence the acronym SPASH. Okay. Get it right, people. My alma mater, by the way. But 3 games from the border battle. We're going to tip things off 2:45 p.m. as Kaukauna, number 1 in D2, takes on Minneapolis North. And then right after that, the top-ranked team in the state in Division III, those Xavier Hawks, who have 5 players averaging in double figures, which is incredible. At 4:15, they're going to take on Minnetonka, Minnesota. And then the nightcap, the final game of the evening, a 7:30 tip time, SPASH. And that red-hot Drew Blair right now, he is lighting it up big time. They're going to take on Minnehaha Academy. 3 streams, 3 really good teams from Minnesota taking on 3 really good teams from Wisconsin. Cannot wait to check that out. And hoping at one of those games that maybe we can get Mark Miller on as a halftime guest and talk some basketball. Obviously, SPASH, we all know that Joey Hauser is no longer enrolled in Stevens Point Area Senior High. He is now a proud member of Marquette Nation, but it's too bad that SPASH doesn't have Big Joey. But I mentioned Drew Blair. 59-56 victory for SPASH last night over Marshfield. Drew Blair had 44 of those 59 points. Only 3 players scored from SPASH. Drew Blair is putting up some big-time numbers this season.
Hey, that's fine against the Marshfields of the world.
Easy
but,
now.
Postseason come, you're going to get a rude awakening.
He lit it up against Oshkosh North last year in the sectional final.
Yeah, Joey Hauser's sitting there. Joey Hauser's not there
anymore. Doesn't matter.
No. I don't think that's going to be the same case. But that's another discussion for another day. But no, 3 good games. I can't wait to get down there and cover those. So, yeah, I'm excited. And another big game that Saturday, Brett, that we're not covering, but our friend Mark Stewart is. Down at the Journal Sentinel. Milwaukee King versus Appleton North at Wisconsin Lutheran College. The game was so big they had to move it to Wisconsin Lutheran College. So please pay attention for that. Score 2 coming over late online. We're actually going to be running Mark's his thoughts, his 5 takeaways from that game. We're going to have it completely covered.
Well, that would have been a game we probably would have considered streaming had we not had the border battle going on with 3 showcase games involving Wisconsin schools, all in our market as well. But the whole idea behind January week is just to kind of break up the monotony of this month. It can be a long month and showcase some of the great talent we have in the region and in the state in our markets, and try to give a little love to the girls and the boys side. And that's why we wanted to. We hadn't had a chance to take a look at Appleton North, the girls side, the defending state champs, ranked number 2 in the state right now. So it was fun to check them out against a really nice up-and-coming team in Appleton West. It's going to be fun to profile the Seymour girls basketball team. They are ranked 3rd, I want to say, in Division II right now on the girls side. They're 14-1. Coming off a big victory last night against Hortonville, so it's going to be fun to see Haley Oski, who's going to UW Green Bay. I think Jenna Krause is going somewhere
She is going high, too. I can't remember offhand, though.
And then, then we put a bow on it with 3 fun games over at Stevens Point. And maybe we'll treat ourselves to a little dinner afterwards.
No, we will.
It all depends,
I
guys.
did do some research on this subject, and I found out Bill's is open till midnight.
Oh,
research is what he calls it. Good one there, Rosie. Either way, we'd call him up and say, listen, you got to keep the doors open for this trio. We're going to come in there and have some food.
But that's, 5 basketball-related streams with the game last night, roundtable tonight, and 3 basketball games on Saturday. That's a lot of live stream action, so it's always fun to check these teams out. And as I mentioned, we're going to see Kimberly Oshkosh North next Friday, February 2nd, down at Oshkosh North High School.
Good stuff.
Those will be state-ranked teams in Division I going at it.
Things are heating up.
Yeah. It's not too. As I said, the girls' side, they're not far away from setting up the brackets. And,
4 more weeks, basically. Not even less than
that.
I think 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It's going to be and you said January is a long month. Actually, it went by pretty quick in my opinion.
Thank God it did.
Yeah,
right?
it did. And then this week makes it go even faster. So can't wait. Please tune in to postcrescent.com and also on Facebook as well, facebook.com/postcrescent.
On Roundtable, you always give shout-outs.
Yeah.
Can I just do an early
Go
shout-out?
ahead.
I want to give an early shout-out to Mother Nature because we just narrowly missed a very big snowstorm.
We did. Yeah.
Yes.
My son lives in the Twin Cities, and they got socked pretty good. We got nothing. There's a lot of grass. And did you see the forecast for this weekend? It's almost be 50 degrees on Friday.
Are you wearing shorts?
I might.
Okay.
Going sleeveless. There you go.
I want to thank Mother Nature for what has been a pretty tame January, and I can only hope and pray that it's the same in February. I just want to get through winter and get back to sunny skies. Hey, by the way, the days are getting longer. The light is staying out later. It's starting to feel good again. Spring's not that far away.
It's so nice to be able to look out the window
stuff.
at 4:30 and not have it dark.
Yes, and I love that we ended this on a positive note. So, everyone, again, tune in next week for another episode of the R&B podcast. Love to have you join in every week if you can. But if you can't on Facebook, please tune in on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play, whatever phone that you have. Subscribe to us, please. You can find that, again, on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play. The R&B Show podcast, only show dedicated to high school sports, the Fox Valley area in Wisconsin. Brett, show off that gun, my friend.
Oh, I'm a little tight today. Here we go. Right on.
Did you even hit it?
Dead center. Yeah.
That one.
Both of them were dead center.
Okay.
Give me some love, would you?
See ya.
This guy's good.
I got the golden arm.